Yeah, thank you, Ronnie. Thank you for being here. It's such a nice audience always. And yeah, quite a large audience today, this year. Okay, so I'm Lucian. So I prepared this talk with my colleagues at the Lucian. We develop search engines, all kinds of search engines. We also do training, consulting around Elasticsearch, OpenSearch, Solr, and search technologies in general. And yeah, we will talk about information and information retrieval and reliable information. There are 4 parts in this talk, and yeah, besides the agenda, there are 3 things that you will see here. So one is the challenges that we have with information and with information sharing and retrieval. The other topic will be tools that you can take and use and integrate in your software to build reliable search engines and reliable information retrieval systems. And the third one are some examples that are taken from a product that we developed. They are just examples, I mean, just for you to see a real life example of implementation of such tools. So whenever you see the icon, like for example, if you see the green icon for tool, that's something that for you to take away. Yeah, so we are in the age of AI today, and it's more and more difficult to know what's true and what's false, and maybe this is the reason you all came here physically, because we might end up there. We say, okay, we don't know what's true and what's false in the digital world. So yeah, let's meet in real life. So we are sure that yeah, we are reliable. Here's an example. This is a poll for you. These are like 5 pieces of 5 statements. Only one of them is true. Okay, and just this is just to start and to make a point here on how you feel about information and how you feel about reliable information. So only one is true. Take a moment to read them and raise your hand when you have the answer. Don't tell the answer, just raise your hand when you think you have the answer. Okay? So I'll wait for everyone to read and to just figure out. Okay, so the first one is false. It's just related to the metric system and the way they used to measure heights and length back then. The French system was different from the other systems in Europe, and it's not true. So the first one, like Napoleon was like just a normal person, not necessarily small or yeah. The bulls, like, they don't distinguish colors, so it's just the movement and the preparation that makes them angry. We have like scans and tools, medical tools that can measure the activity of brains, and it's definitely not 10% that we are using. And the Great Wall of China is really like, it's great, but it's kind of thin, and you have a lot of vegetation and mountains and all that, and it's not visible with the naked eye. Then it means the last one is true, and it is. Actually, it's a real thing. No, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true. And if you look at the sources that we place there, because don't believe us for the first source is Wikipedia. Well, not necessarily a reliable source. That's also good to know. But yes, it's a yeah, lowercase d. Thank you. Yeah, so this is like it's not from today. If you ask the medieval age Wikipedia. Wikipedia would have tell you that the Earth the Earth is flat. Yeah, that's also to make a point that Wikipedia is just what everybody thinks it's true. It's not necessarily what's true, but that's a point. And the main thing here, and why we have a challenge here, is because it's much more difficult to debunk fake information than to produce it. Okay, so this is something that's really, really difficult to demonstrate that some information is false. It's much easier to to prevent than to repair. Yes. So yeah, this is an issue today because we have a lot of information circulates a lot, very rapidly, and we need in order to debunk or to make the difference between reliable information and non-reliable information, we need a lot of tools, a lot of experience, a lot of expertise and all that. So we will focus on tools today, and tools that you can also use. And yeah, we will also see that it's not necessarily, I mean, the definition of reliable depends on anyone. Okay, so the first thing is verifying the sources. Okay, so this is a great issue that we should tackle, and how we do that. You all know that LLMs are quite handy today, and they have the habit to not cite the sources that they use. And the other thing is that the information grew a lot. If you remember the web in the early days, it was like really a few pages. Right on the beginning, like it was pages that you could literally list on an index, and it was like that. Then it came like the year 2000, and you had more and more information, and that's the thing that's important for the next part of the talk. You have information that is there with a specific purpose. So information that's not necessarily there to inform you. It's not necessarily there to give you correct information, or maybe it is correct, but the purpose of that information is to promote other information, so to promote a website like SEO, SEM. We had a lot of that. And who knows what happened on the November 30, 2022? You know what happened? It was ChatGPT that was released. Okay, so almost 3 years ago. So you had a lot of information that was kind of generated. It might be true, it might be reliable, it might be genuine also, but it is really a lot. Okay, so yeah, it's difficult to see what's useful there. Okay, this is the first tool that you can take, and it's something that if you develop an enterprise search engine, it's a feature that you should maybe implement and have. It's about knowing when the information, the date on the information, because an information might be true today, might be false tomorrow. We will see that. So this is the first tool, which is a widely available tool, the before syntax. Okay, so if you want to move out of the generated information there, you just use before and a date, and normally if the search engine is well done, we'll be able to respond to that. So yeah, that's the first tool. Okay, so why reliable sources are important? We found this test. It's not necessarily something that's well known or widely, let's say, acknowledged by the industry or that. So it's just a test among others. But we find this really useful, and we are using it actually when we develop our search engines. And we noticed that even people like Google and Microsoft use kind of things similar to this, and we saw the changes in their search engines going to this direction. So I mean, there are a few points here that are important, and when you measure a source and information, you should look at these KPIs. So the first one is the date, okay? When the information was written. I mean, it's look at the date on the information can be taken out of context, or yeah, something that's written. It's written in a certain period and all that. Authority is also important. Okay. So authority is who produced that information. Yeah, so you all have all the crap tests, and yeah, the last one is the most important one. What's the purpose of the information? So if you look back here, the purpose of all these SEO, SEM pages is clear. It's not to give you the right information, but it's it has a specific purpose. So when an information circulates, you have to think about why is this there? Is the author trying to sell me something, or it's something that's there to inform me? Okay. Yeah. So when you look at how, for example, Google evolved, you have things that were added because people started to think like that. You know, I see a link here, but yeah, is it? I mean, we are not in the year 2000 where I have the button that Google used to have, like I'm feeling lucky and the first answer is the right one. It might be right, it might be wrong. What helps is what you put around the answer. Okay, so Google uses this. So these 3 dots here that give you like more information about the source, and specifically who produced it, when it was produced, when it was indexed by the search engine. Okay. And you also have something similar in Bing. Okay. You have the source, reviews from the web. So yeah, information is like produced by someone and also like acknowledged and promoted by others in some way. There's another thing that's important, and in the beginning it was not necessarily used like this. So Google was the first one to produce question answering in their answers in their search engine. So question answering has the advantage that it gives you directly the answer. You don't have to click and look on the page and find the paragraph where the answer that you're searching is. So summarization has the advantage to give you the answer directly. Bing took this a step further. You have several sources that are mingled together to give you the answer. Okay, so like you don't just believe one source. You kind of try to take 2, 3, 5 sources. Okay, if you're still using Twitter, you have noticed that there's Grok that is involved a lot, and it's used a lot by Twitter users to like validate information. You have a lot of, hey Grok, is this true? Hey Grok, is this fake news? Hey Grok, is this real? And so on. And it does a nice job. I mean, it really like tries to like dig, and the advantage of Twitter and messaging like this is that it's not necessarily real time. So you're not concerned about like you ask a question and you want the answer right away. Okay, so it's like it has some time to dig into the question, and then it brings some answers. But as you saw with ChatGPT, you really, when an LLM gives an answer, you should really take that like it could be hallucinations also. And if you notice how Grok responds, it's like documented, like you see data sources that are there, but there are not links. So it's not like you can verify by yourself that this data source is really set that. Okay, but it's a nice tool. Okay, a nice tool that can like give you some insights. Speaking about the date, okay, and the context, that's also important because you can also click on a link and actually the content that's behind that link changed over time. And it's not necessarily what you see, it's not necessarily what was there when the one that put the link in there saw. Okay, and this is another tool that's very handy, that's the Wayback Machine that kind of archives the internet. And you can see a page like that, and here's an example of a page that was modified after it was first released. So the journal that produces the information, like they had the they provided a message to state that the article was modified later on because there was an error in it, but it could not be stated. Okay, so it could. I mean, this. Yeah, Wikipedia also has a log of modifications, but when you look at like something like a page or something, even a Slack message, you just see that it was edited, or a LinkedIn message, you see that it was edited, but you don't know exactly what and when. So yeah, this tool is a very handy one. And yeah, search engines that have the power to do that, like they index pages and they keep the history, they're like really great. Okay. Well, I mentioned the purpose of the information. So the purpose here, you see the icon here. It's a tool that we developed. So I'm not trying to sell it to you. So it's just to be sure. So the information that I'm giving you, it's not necessarily for that. All the tools that we are giving here are tools that you can take home. But it's just an example of how some of these tools can be used. Okay. Just to know how we've thought about things here. If you remember, I get back to the web in the beginning. You had search engines like Yahoo that really used to work like this. They really categorized the web. They had an index with all the pages listed, and the pages were like arranged into categories like this. Okay, so this was in the beginning. You even have Google that kind of produced the next, like started the next step there, that had a page similar to this, because people back then really used to work like that. They were used to see the internet categorized like this. So the first version of Google was not like this. It was Google as you know it, but they had a version like this. Okay, and this is on the Wayback Machine, by the way, so you can really verify that it was there. Yeah, then it came the I'm feeling lucky button, and we kind of relied on an algorithm that was quite good back then to promote on the first position the information that was the best one. Okay, but it was kind of an algorithm that was a black box. Okay, we kind of gave credit to Google that it was the right one, and people understood how Google worked, and they started to like hack the algorithm. Okay, with SEO, SEM, in order to like go in front of someone else and all that. And then you had publicity, and you have competition that were like acquiring a link that was related to your company and all that. So a lot of things happened there. And then you had LLMs that, on one way, they use the same information that's available on the internet. That means this information that you have here, but you don't know exactly how. And when an answer is given, you don't know exactly where it comes from. Okay. And in addition to that, you have a feedback loop that you have content that's generated with LLMs, and that comes back on the internet. Okay, and you have a lot of content here, and yeah, you have the before syntax, so you can filter it out, but you don't know like which is which now. Okay, so the idea behind all that site is to go back to the beginning of the internet where you like kind of listed all the links that were relevant, and yeah, and these links can be anywhere, can be on pages that are AI generated. If they are genuine and relevant and interesting, then that's fine. Okay, and yeah, we have a lot of, like we present it in detail in this conference. Today, I'm gonna just show you some example of tools that we integrated here. And in order to see how it works, I just have a small demo just for you to see the importance of how data sources are treated. So I have here three. So I'm here in the administration console, and we have three search engines here. One that's kind of, let's say, official. Depends on if you trust the government websites and all that. The other one is like still like trustworthy because they are like top-rated clinics. And here you have a search engine that's like gathering information like from wannabe gurus and other websites that have traction, but they're not necessarily scientifically correct. Okay, so if you look at the data sources that are behind, this is really important. So the official health information has like websites like this. Okay, and actually the search engine like provides the data sources that are behind the responses that they provide. Then here we have some other websites that are listed here. And yeah, each search engine provides something, okay? And you have the last one that's this one that kind of indexes some other data sources. So yeah, if we go back to let me just okay, sorry about that. Yeah, we already saw that. I showed them in the. Yeah, let's use the lie line. Okay. In the, I'm just gonna show you how it works. So when we ask the search engine something, so you have the results here, and then here you have the some LLM that gives like a summary of this. So it looks like this. I'll go faster just to make a point. When you ask this line search engine about celery juice, it will say that okay, it's really something that's that has traction and is very good for your health, and you should drink it every morning and all that. So this is a point of view. And when you ask the top-rated clinics about it, it says, okay, it's like it's water. It can hydrate you. But it's not necessarily miraculous, okay? So it's just like water. So that's it. When you talk about like this question here, okay, so you see the answer that's given. You have like a lot of skepticism, and it talks about like autism and all stuff like that. Whether actually the official information is that vaccines are important. Okay, so yeah, this is just a point to make about the data sources that you're using influence the responses that you get. So this is the point here. And when you use like some sources or other, you can see the difference. So what we do is something like this, where you actually see where the response comes from. Okay, so it's kind of like Bing also started to do it, like where you have like ratings and ratings on the web page and all that. Okay, so this is something that you could also use as a tool. Okay, so the answer is here, but you know like who endorsed it. Okay. The second thing here is when you ask an LLM, because we often like stick to that, we don't go click on links, but we just use an LLM to have the answer. What's important is to have also the response, the summary documented with links to original data sources. So where does this paragraph come from? Okay, and yeah, we will see how to implement something like this. Okay, so how do search engines and assistants and agents provide answers? Okay, so for example, this one. Yeah, when Google like summarizes things and gives you an answer, it says, okay, this is the answer to your question. Well, is it true or not? Well, Google like stops to the first link. Okay, they consider it the best one, and this is the answer. So they like just take the answer from there. As I said, Bing will like kind of mitigate, mingle some other sources also. And if you notice, these tools here were available even before LLMs and ChatGPT went public and all that. And actually, you can use simple NLP tasks, and I will get to that later because there's also a concern about the energy that you're putting into that and the cost of answering the question. So actually, answering questions given a context, it's something that's available since a long time with NLP tasks. And in the beginning, there was like just this way of doing where like Google does. You see, like you have an answer, which is actually not generated. So you don't have a hallucination. Let's say this is real text that's in the text that's the source for your answer. And then you also have like the generative question answering, where you kind of like invent words around the words that you extracted from the original data source. But even this can be done with NLP tasks. And if you look on Hugging Face, there are really a lot of NLP tasks available, even like for free. So you can use those in order to provide a summarization of the content that you're looking at. LLMs, yeah, this is the new way of doing things now. They are like a lot more powerful than NLP tasks. And you also have Retrieval-Augmented Generation that kind of worked there. This is the first like approach of LLMs where you do not know where the answer comes from. So you have a question, the LLM will just compile its memory. The data is taken from somewhere, you don't know it exactly from where, and you have an answer. You have, of course, a lot of hallucinations. You don't know where the answer comes from. You have a lot of biases, yeah. So depending on what was the source that trained the model. So you had the Retrieval-Augmented Generation that came to the rescue and allowed LLMs to like kind of focus on a data set that's the search engine. So we enriched the answer which is given by the LLM with data that comes from some, let's say, reliable data sources. Okay, so but you still have this memory that's here, but it's kind of you have the prompt that will force the LLM to stick on the right track. And speaking about that, this is a prompt that we used in the first version of all.site. So the prompt that provides things like this here. So the result here. And I want to thank actually Haystack, because we took this prompt from a conference that was given at Haystack in April 2023, just a few months after ChatGPT was released. And it was Trey Granger that gave this talk here. And actually, it is RAG, Retrieval-Augmented Generation, with a prompt that forces the LLM to cite its sources. And back then it was even it was not called a RAG. So yeah, I would like to thank you and Haystack for organizing this, because we are kind of ahead of the trend. So like a few months later, after this starting to like coagulate, and it was called Retrieval-Augmented Generation. But back then it didn't have a name actually. Okay, so yeah, so just like this simple prompt here, that's also used by Bing, by the way, but it's a lot more complex, but allows you to like give answers like this, and also give the links to the search results that provided the answers. Okay. Now, there's another tool that I wanted to give you, because I know that you all know what Retrieval-Augmented Generation is and how it works and all that. You're kind of like, you saw that last year and maybe the year before at Haystack. So you know how Retrieval-Augmented Generation works. You need a like vector database that will vectorize the data sources, and then you need the model that you then generated the embeddings for the data sources that will also generate a vector for the question and provide the answer. But the fact is that when you vectorize a document, let's say a PDF document that has, let's say, 2 pages, and you vectorize a question that has 4 words, 5 words, 6 words, maybe 2 words, okay? It's not the same thing, okay? So it's kind of like you need a specific model for this to work. A model that knows that, oh, I'm creating embeddings for a document, or oh, I'm creating embeddings for a query, okay? So this is a tool that you could use to improve your retrieval-augmented generative system, which is called HYDE. So it's hypothetical document. You actually, and you can do it with an embeddings model that doesn't know that's a question or a document. So you're using an LLM first, or an NLP task also, that will, instead of answering the question, will kind of hallucinate an answer. Okay, so it's just an answer that's hallucination, pure hallucination. And then you vectorize this hallucination, this hypothetical document, and use it to compare with the vectors from the original documents. Okay, so if you indexed paragraphs from PDF documents that have, let's say, like 50 words, then generate an answer, a hypothetical answer that has 50 words, vectorize it, and compare these 2 vectors together, and you will have better answers. Okay, so this is a tool that you can take. There are a lot more tools like this in this webinar that's provided by LangChain. Yes. So you can find those here. So HYDE is just one of them, but you have other ones like multi-query, decomposition, step back, which are also kind of, some of them are implemented in LangChain, so you could like use that, or you can implement yourself the technique there. So this one, it's actually something that we use, and it's really powerful. Okay, and it allows you to use a model that's not necessarily trained to vectorize questions and documents in the same time. Okay, so speaking about decomposition here, because this is another technique here, when you cannot do it automatically, because it's kind of, I mean, you could today with agents and all that, because you have MCP that came in, and you could use some agent that will help you to rephrase the query, the question, and all that. When you cannot do that automatically, you could provide to the user some additional tools to continue the discussion, like to rephrase the question or to, so this is something that we do, for example. So you have a first answer that's here, and then we have some suggestions that here, and the user can actually type their own question to like kind of rephrase maybe. So this is kind of similar to this one, query rewriting. Okay, so now another topic is how to like maybe enlarge the view here. And we talked here about if you look at the vector search here, we has something that's important, which is the multimodality. So you can index images and documents and search for them also. And actually, you could like implement a search engine that uses images to search. But nevertheless, even without going there, to come back to the like the topic of the talk today, which is reliable information. This is an information that that like it was on Twitter with pictures, and it's also about taking the information out of context. And actually, if you do a reverse image search, so this is the tool like an image search, you could see that the image actually is not from that event, and it was from another one. And yeah, you can mitigate that. So yeah. Another tool that's interesting and it's very powerful, and it existed since a long time, is similar results. And actually, there's a query in Lucian that's really there since like maybe a long time. Yeah, that's called the more like this query, and it allows you to do things like this, like where you have some answers and you're not really sure about that. And you can like just give the user a additional pointers to something that could be interesting, and it's not necessarily responding to the question directly, but it broadens the search. Okay, so that's that's a tool that's it doesn't even need like vectors, and I mean it needs vectors, but it's some other types of vectors here that are available in Lucian. Okay, so yeah, last topic is about, so it's a tool which is important in search engine, which is don't take the data source as it is and try to like clean it before indexing into your search engine. When I say clean it, it's not necessarily like, you could also enrich it. Okay, so this is the idea. And you have a lot of tools like NLP tasks and other ones that allow you to enrich the data that you're sending to the search engine. And it's not necessarily that the tone of the voice, so the left one is a scientific article, and the right one is a politically biased article. It's not because the tone is frustrated or something that tells you that the information might not be genuine, but it just broadens the search, and so it provides you with the additional information about what's behind that. So it's kind of a summarization with source enrichment. Okay, and I was talking a lot about NLP tasks. There was this Berlin Buzzwords conference that kind of talked about the same topic that I'm mentioning here, which is about like also trustworthy information. And they were mentioning the thing that you should also try to use the model that has the lowest cost. Okay. So NLP tasks sometimes can do the same thing as an LLM, but they are much more performant. Yeah, and you can run them on CPU. You don't need a GPU and all that. Okay, another task is zero-shot classification that actually allows you to enrich the data source really well. Okay, and there's also natural language inference. And I would like also to cite another talk that was given at Berlin Buzzwords. And this is from Haystack, but Haystack, the LLM framework, and not the search conference. And it talks about, like it's another example of how you can use a natural language inference model, kind of like zero-shot classification in some way, to fact check some information. And you have tools on the internet that actually can provide you this, but they're implemented really with this architecture here. So it resembles to Retrieval-Augmented Generation, to RAG, but it actually has just one purpose. You ask a question, and like grok, is this true? And it tells you potentially true, potentially false. The point here is that all the tools that you find on the internet are not necessarily citing their sources, so you don't know what they used to tell you it's true or it's false. So this is why it's important for you to construct your own tool set. Okay, when you provide a search engine to your customers. Okay, so yeah, this is natural language inference. And just to finish, you also find today like tools that will, in the same idea, that will say, okay, this text is AI generated or not, kind of the same thing. We are not affiliated with all these tools here on the internet, but yeah, they are great to be cited. That can also like tell you if this information is AI generated or not. So this is an add-on. Okay, so yeah, the idea is to like take the data source and to actually enrich it with all kind of like classification and NLP tasks and named entity extraction and all that before sending it to your search engine. Okay, so this is another example from model set from where you can see the classification of data sources, and you can see what they are talking about and all that. And yeah, that's about it. So verified sources. Use the sources selectively because there's like too much information and you don't know. I mean, it's yeah, and especially so provide to your customers automate, or for yourself, automated tools that will like help you like see in a glimpse of an eye, yeah, is this information true or false? So this is actually taken from a prototype that we built for journalists. So this is a tool that's very important for that. They have an information, and yeah, with just a few clicks, they can tell, okay, who speaks about the same topic? Is this true? Is this false? Given the information that I placed as a reference in my reference database. Okay, so that's it for me, and thank you.
Thank you, Lucian. So the first question comes from the online audience. How can we tell if the Wayback Machine or similar tool and its response are really authentic?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's just like the search engines that you saw here. So you have the data sources that are used. You can't technically. You just have to trust some sources. The idea is to like trust those that you want to trust and to construct those, or to do like Bing, where you actually cross-link data sources, and if you do not trust the Wayback Machine, just use some other. There are others that do the same thing and verify that they say the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Further questions from the audience? This one.
Hi, thanks for your talk, very interesting. So there's kind of a point around the CDC and the information they put out, which is quite current with the stuff around paracetamol, Tylenol, and that may be misinformation. But there's also a greater point around how do we deal with the evolution of human understanding, i.e. science, moving forward over time. And so you're going to by definition, you're going to have small places of greater understanding, and in time those ideas will perpetuate around all these authoritative sources, but that takes time to propagate through the system. And so how do you balance that in what you're returning at any given point in time?
Yeah, so it's the idea here is that the tool provides the links to the data sources that were used to provide the answer. So they might be relevant, they might be reliable, they might not be, but the idea is so you can have access to those. Okay, so you know who provided that and who endorsed the information, and what was the date that the content was produced, what was the context, what were the data sources that were similar to that one. So there's no like true or false statement there. It's just to have all the tools for you to make your own opinion. Yeah, and just so have access to all these. And the CRAP test is really great at that. Okay, so it's really look at, is there a date on this content? Is there a context around it? Is there an author who provided that information? And what was the purpose for this article? Was it to sell a book, or to answer some questions, or yeah.
Okay, one more question maybe. No? So then let's thank Lucian again. Many thanks.
Thank you.